check this place out. Nice. And they got photos on the wall. Ooh. Whoa, a film lab. Man, I wish I had one of these. Aw, this machine's dope. I guess you can't see me. I want to try it out. Aw, those feel so good. Man, imagine having your own machine at home. Wait.
Ishkan, wake up.
Huh?
Ishkan,
What?
wake
Huh?
up.
Huh?
Ishkan, wake up!
Ooh, what's this? If you're a film photographer, I'm sure you've been to your local lab at one point in time and you've seen them using the Noritsus and the Fuji Frontier film scanners, and you know that they look so cool. I got a package from Filmomat, and this is something that I think a lot of you will like. This is something that I found extremely fascinating, and if you're doing home scanning, whether it's with a Epson scanner or with if you're doing camera scanning, the post-processing part of that involves using your computer, and sometimes it can get a little boring. So Filmomat actually designed a control panel that I think you guys are gonna love, because when I saw them release this, I wanted to get my hands on it, and I'm so excited to be sharing this with you guys. This is gonna give you a lab experience in the comfort of your home. This control panel also pairs with their Smart Convert software, which I'm gonna be doing a demo for you guys. After you do your camera scanning and you want to convert your negatives to positives, this Smart Convert software is going to be an extremely easy thing to use. It's drag and drop software. You just drop them in. You have an auto crop feature, and you have all the little dials and color corrections that you need. I'm going to demo that all for you guys shortly. So why don't we first do a little unboxing of this little thing, and then we'll jump over to the computer. Let's jump right into the unboxing. So it comes very nicely packaged. The first thing we got here is a USB-C to USB-A cable. And here it is. Wow. This thing is absolutely beautiful. So as you guys can see, it has a metal construction. It's got nice tactile switches. I'll give you guys a little. And this is going to be extremely easy to use. As you guys can see, you have the full lab experience over here. So you have your cyan, magenta, yellow, your reds, blues, and greens. And then you have 3 custom buttons down over here, which you can customize in the software, along with your rotate and flip, contrast, density, and saturation. So if you want to increase the density or decrease, increase the contrast, and same for the saturation. And then you have a forward and back, so you can go to the next image or go to the previous image, and it's all laid out over here. So you'll be able to have this right next to your computer, and just like at the lab, you'll be able to just go through your images, quickly make the changes you need to make, and then you'll be done. And the build quality of this is absolutely amazing. You have these 4 rubber feet over here, so it's going to ensure that it doesn't move at all, as you guys can see. And then you have your, of course, USB-C cable. It has a USB-C port on the back. So if you do want to eventually swap out this cable for, like, let's say a USB-C to USB-C cable, you can do that. So I'm very happy that they went with USB-C on this. If you're somebody that is scanning their film at home, and if you just want to elevate that experience, make the process a little more exciting, I think this control panel is going to be a great pairing with your Smart Convert software. So I'm very excited to try this out. So why don't we jump into the computer? I'm going to give you guys a rundown of the software, and then we'll plug this in. I'll show you guys how to pair this with the app, and then we'll convert some photos. So the first thing we're going to do over here is just remove this cable tie. We're going to plug in the USB-C cable right here on the back. And once that's in, we're just going to plug in the cable right into our computer. And we'll just tuck this cable away. And as you guys can see, that's pretty much all you need to do to get this thing set up. Now that we have this plugged in, let's jump over to the Smart Convert software and I'll give you guys a rundown and then how to connect the control panel itself. So as you guys can see, this is the software itself. It's very, very simple. So first thing you have is your add images. You can either drag and drop your images right directly onto the Smart Convert, or you can just click add images and go to the selected folder from there. You can also clear the images if you need to. There is a reset settings just in case you're messing around with all these settings and just want to get it back to the basics. Underneath that, you have your mirroring and then your rotate left, rotate right. Underneath that, you have your contrast, density, and saturation selectors. Underneath those ones, you have your cyan, magenta, yellows, blues, reds, greens. You also have a auto white balance setting, a recalculate setting, and also a reset white balance setting. Underneath those, we have the auto crop, invert, keep setting in grayscale if you're working in black and white. And underneath that, you have your previous, your next image, your export. And now we'll run through all of those right now. So why don't we click add images? What about photo from Vancouver? I think that'll be fun. So why don't we use this photo as our test photo, and we'll just click. So now to connect the control panel and make it work with the software, we're gonna go up here and you're just gonna select settings and in the advanced settings, and then you're gonna scroll all the way to the bottom and click use control panel. And of course you have your custom keys on the actual control panel, which you can reset to different settings. So the standard right now is a edit crop, an auto crop, and a recalculate image. So we'll just leave those for now. Since we're in the advanced settings, I will also show you guys some of the other things you can do in there. You have the first option, which is loading the raw files with full resolution for preview. This is only necessary if your picture upon import gets a little weird, but you can just leave this setting off. The pictures won't load in full quality regardless, but they will export in full resolution. The second setting over here is your crop. So this will basically give an idea to the software of how much inside of its border that it thinks you want to leave as like a little buffer. Underneath that is the increment value settings. This is probably one of the most important settings over here, and this is all going to be personal preference. If you click on it, it'll give you an option to set a new value, and this is going to determine in what increments you're changing your contrast, density, and your color settings. So I left it at, so I think the standard is 0.05. I changed it to 0.03 just to give me a little bit more finer control. Any lower than 0.03, I think the increment is just too small and the changes aren't enough to justify having that lower value. If that's something that you'd prefer, more than welcome to change it, but you will be sitting there and clicking away just to skip through those. Underneath that includes CMYK values and keep settings. These are again all depending on how you'll be using them. So if you want to keep the settings and then use it for the next image, there is a hot folder option, and if you activate this, anything in that hot folder will be imported. So for example, if you're shooting with a tethering software, you can take the photos and it'll automatically import them to the Smart Convert. So it'll be converting as you're going, and then it'll create a new folder in there. I like to just do this separately, take the photos first and then convert them afterwards, just to make sure I have all my files calibrated and ready to go. So that way I don't have to convert anything that I don't need to. So the next setting over here is the apply flat field correction. Now this is very important. If you have a camera that vignettes, you can take a picture without any negatives in there, and you can import the white photo into here and it'll create a kind of counter vignette. So it'll calibrate it based on your lens, and that's about it. So let's click OK, and now let's add our image. So we'll go with this one and we'll open it up. So now that we have our photo imported and converted automatically by the software, we can hop over to our control panel, and this is where the fun begins. So now with the control panel, you can rotate your image freely, and this is going to save you a ton of time. Just having the ability to have this shortcut right here in and itself is already a game changer, especially if you're working with large batches of photos. And one other thing that I want to mention is in the software itself, before I show you guys any more of these control panel settings, if you're not happy with the white balance, you can actually use the pointer of your mouse to select a neutral zone in your images. So for example, if you want to use the border of your film as a reference point, as a neutral point, you can do that. Obviously, if you click on the white, you'll get nothing, but usually finding a nice neutral point, the border always works for the most part, and it'll give you a more accurate color balance of the film itself. So now we'll move on to cropping our image first. That way we can work focused only on the image without the borders coming into play. So I believe custom key number 2 was our auto crop. And then if you click custom number 1, you can edit the crop if you don't feel that it's exactly where you want it. So we'll just make a little bit of an adjustment over here. Perfect, so I'm very happy with that, and we'll just hit the shortcut again. And now we can move on to our colors and density. So why don't we first start with our contrast, and I think we can lower the contrast a little bit just to have more details in the shadows. Same with the density. We'll open that up just a bit. Perfect. And then I think our saturation is good, but I'm just going to increase it by just a tad, maybe by 0.6. And in the wood over here, I do want a little bit more reds. So we're going to hop over to the cyan, magenta, and yellow tab over here. And we'll just click red, and it'll add some red in the shadows because the wood is a little more red than that. I think the 0.3 is a little much in this specific case. So now if you do want to make a very, very minor incremental adjustment, you can pop back over to your control panel and just click on the value itself. So let's say you only want to go down by 0.1. So we'll just do 0.88. Let's see. And then you'll just click OK. And it'll make that adjustment. And if you want to go even a little more, you can go in there, and I think that's looking great. Add a little green and a little bit of warmth in the image. We'll just take some of that away. I think it's a little too yellow, so we'll just add some blue. That might be a little too much. Perfect. A little bit of more contrast. I like how that looks. Now that we're happy with this, we have our crops selected. We can move over to the bottom over here, and we can do save image or export current image. If you do save images and you have a batch, it'll export all of them together. But if you only want to export the current image that you're working on, you can just click export current image, and it'll give you first the location that you want to save it to. So we'll just save it in here, and we'll click open. And now you have two different options. You can export your image as a TIFF or a JPEG. It'll have both selected upon export, and it'll create separate folders for each. So we'll just leave it at that just to show you guys. And all you're going to do is click OK and let the photo render out, and that'll be the end of that process. So let's go over to our folder where we saved our image, and as you guys can see, you have two folders saved. One has a TIFF file in there, which is going to be full resolution. So as you guys can see, it exports at 209 megabytes. And over here is our JPEG, and here's our final result. So as you guys can see, the photo exports in full resolution. That's the beauty of the Smart Convert software. You don't need to download any third-party applications. This application is entirely standalone. So if they make any future updates to this, you'll receive those, and it'll be great to use with the Smart Convert control panel. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to let me know. This was super fun for me to use, and I can't wait to sit down and edit more photos because it's gonna feel like I'm in the lab. I appreciate you guys sticking around to the end, and I hope you guys enjoyed that little skit in the beginning of the video. Shout out to my friend Helder at Memento Film Lab here in Toronto for wanting to do this with me. It's a fun little project. Again, a lot of the stuff we do is, we try to have fun with and get creative. And I hope you guys enjoyed the review of the Filmomat control panel and the Smart Convert software. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to send me a DM on Instagram. That's where I'm active most. But you can also leave a comment at the bottom of this video. And until next time, I'll see you guys soon.